Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to the DunnWisdom Morning Show. I am Melissa P. Dunn, CEO of MD Marketing Network and founder of this DunnWisdom movement, where we introduce you to entrepreneurs and thought leaders who are getting things done, people who are committed to being their best selves and really working to move our community forward. I am super excited to introduce you to the CEO of the Overtown the Overtown Youth Center. I have been such a fan of this organization for a long time, and I'm really happy. This is actually going to be our first time speaking. So we're going to be learning about her together today. Miss Tina Brown, not only is she the CEO of the Overtown Youth Center, she is an accountant by trade, y'all. So this is a wife, a mother, a talented service leader who is committed to using her skills to move our community forward. She is responsible. Her portfolio actually includes the Mourning Family Foundation as well as Honeyshine. Help me to give a very warm DunnWisdom Morning Show welcome to Miss Tina Brown. Hey, Tina.
Hi, Miss Dunn. How are you this morning?
I am well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am such a huge fan of your organization. You have been kind of in my sphere for a long time, but this is our first time meeting.
Yeah, I've seen your show before, wonderful show. So I'm glad we've connected, and I'm glad to be on this morning.
Fantastic. So Tina, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you decide to go into nonprofit work?
Oh, wow. I think it was all divine guidance, if you will. Like I mentioned earlier, I went to school for accounting and finance, got an accounting degree, worked for several large companies in and around South Florida, Terra Nova, Royal Caribbean, CPA firm, Sharpton Brunson, CPA. And, you know, while in school, I mean, majoring in accounting, most people talk about, you know, going to work for a big accounting firm, but nobody ever talks really about working for a nonprofit organization. And just because of who I am, just innately love helping people and also giving back. Long before I got into this nonprofit work, I was actually helping out a church, doing some bookkeeping work for them, and met a young lady who was like, oh, you know, my job is hiring. And I'm like, where do you work? I'm not really looking for a job. And she was like, the Overtown Youth Center. And I was like, oh my God, I grew up in Overtown. I've seen the facility. My family goes to church in Overtown. My family still live in Overtown, a lot of them. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, I would love to go back and work in the community where I actually grew up. And I submitted my resume, and that was over 16 years ago. And so the rest is history. And, you know, I landed this job in this nonprofit organization as the director of finance. So still being able to do what I studied in school. But it was just a blessing because I could, you know, do purposeful work while working in a community that I grew up in, while being able to do something that I've always wanted to do, which was be an example for people living in Overtown and similar communities, to inspire them, to let them know if I could do it, you could do it as well. So I ended up as a director of finance. And then years later, my boss, my mentor, my predecessor, she sort of set me up. She knew she was going to be making an exit, and she thought that I would be the best person to run the organization. And little did I know, I didn't think at the time that I had the skill sets to run a nonprofit, normally because most people come from a social service background. And that wasn't my case, but it's been a labor of love 16 years later.
I love that. You know, there are a couple of things that really inspire me about your story, Tina. First of all, you decided to go back to your roots. And a lot of communities of color, we're experiencing a brain drain. And so, you know, our brightest and our best, they get educated, they leave, and they take their skill sets elsewhere. So I find it really amazing and inspiring that you decided to bring your brain trust back to the community.
Oh yeah, I'm a homegrown girl, and I went to school in Savannah, and I always knew, and everybody around me knew that I would always come back to Miami. Number one, I'm a mama's girl, so I could not leave my mom and live anywhere else. And I love my community. It's where I grew. I've learned a lot. I experienced a lot. My community was my biggest motivator, and I'll never forget where I came from, where I grew up. And, if I could do anything in this life before I leave it, is to, I would love to just leave a legacy, and to inspire as many young people growing up in urban communities as possible, that life has so many options. And just because of, circumstances, whether it's just low socioeconomic circumstances, family dynamics, the sky is the limit. And just with, caring, nurturing individuals around you, you can make it, or someone to motivate you and help you to believe in yourself. And that's really what happened to me. I had a teacher who really believed in me. I didn't think that I would ever go to college or anything like that. And, he poured into my life, and I vowed to continue to pay it forward.
And you are paying it forward in spades. Tell us a little bit about your work at the Overtown Youth Center. What do you do? I mean, what's the organization's mission?
Sure. So the Overtown Youth Center and Honeyshine are both youth development organizations. Overtown Youth Center in particular is an organization that provides a holistic and comprehensive set of services. The main goal is to bridge educational, social, emotional, health, and opportunity gaps. And since inception, our work has evolved, and we've done a lot of growing. But our main goal is to ensure that 100% of the people that we serve become positive, contributing citizens by the age of 25. And when I talk about this holistic set of services, we provide in-school service support, after-school services, summer program services, summer employment, family support services. And, with the transformation of our organization, we're getting more into the health space, sort of bridging health gaps and disparities in our community. So our work is really holistic in the fact that, we take a child and their family, and we try to break down all barriers to success.
Oh, I love that. Break down all barriers to success. And we know that in order for you to create a healthy community, you got to really start with a nucleus, right? And so that's really amazing. Hey, good morning, Mrs. Lopez. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. A Facebook user says, excellent programs for youth. Thank you. All right. What else? If you guys have a question, now is the time for you to type it into your chat. Do join the conversation for sure. So Tina, you mentioned that you guys are starting to focus on health as well. What does that look like for you?
So for us, we just recently launched a COVID vaccination site, which was huge, given this pandemic environment and climate that we're in. So for us, we've always done educational support services. We've always worked with our families, especially now during COVID. We realized that the mental implications of this pandemic is pretty severe, and our community and members of our community have always been victims, if you will, of some health disparities or just not having the access in urban communities. And so one of the things that we want to do to deepen our work and to deepen our impact is really focus on, bridging these health disparities. So like I mentioned, we started with COVID testing, and now we've launched this pop-up COVID vaccination site. But moving forward, we are building a new facility, which I'm super excited about. We're building a 56,000 square foot facility in the same area that we've always served, on the same footprint of land. And one of the expanded services that we'll offer is mental health, behavioral health services. And we're super excited about that. And it definitely aligns to the work that we've always done. We can talk about education and bridging those gaps all day long, but getting to the root causes of what continues to plague our community is really dealing with some deeply rooted issues. And so we want to be able to address those in a holistic way, in a meaningful way, in a trusting way, so that our community can really overcome some of the deeply rooted challenges that continue to kind of stunt their growth. So that's really the space that we want to enter. And again, in urban communities, in Black communities, and Hispanic communities, when we think about mental health and behavioral health, sometimes there's this stigma associated with it. But as you know, Melissa, we can all use some support, whether it's mental health or therapy or whatever. And studies show that it transforms lives. And we really want to do that with our work to really deepen the impact of our work.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. And I've seen, I'm familiar with the work of Honeyshine. And I've seen the work that you guys do with girls in terms of empowering and motivating them, and creating those positive habits that then will help them to become healthy adults. And certainly expanding those services to the family, I think, is going to be a really good thing.
Yeah, and Tracy is a huge proponent of, just focusing on mind, body, and soul. And in order for us to really focus on mind, we have to address those issues that start in our head. To be able to really make a significant impact. So we're excited about the future of our work. We've been in this community for over 20 years. We have these really trusting relationships with our families. We've proven that we're always going to be here through thick, through thin, providing the support that our families most need, not dictating what they need, but addressing specifically those issues that they've come to us to say, we need help with this, or we need help with that. And so our work is inclusive of hearing the voices of our children, hearing the voices of our families, and implementing what they want to see in our community.
Fantastic. How many families do you serve right now?
So we serve a little over 400 families. We serve about 1,500 youth and families on an annual basis. And throughout this pandemic, we've probably served, so many more just through some of our outreach efforts, like meal distributions. We serve about 1,000 meals per week, so 4,000 meals per month. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so when you mentioned before that you guys are expanding your footprint into a new building. When do you anticipate that building will come online, and how will that impact your capacity to serve?
So we anticipate that our new facility will be open sometime in the first quarter of 2022, and it will significantly increase our capacity to serve more youth and more families. Like I mentioned before, this is a 56,000 square foot facility with 14 classroom spaces, an art studio, a music studio, a health and wellness wing, our gymnasium, as well as other empowerment spaces to train our community. So we will more than likely serve somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 young people and families over the next 5 years, which is our goal. We do not intend to only serve individuals residing in Overtown. Our goal is to serve individuals and families in other communities. While this is going to be a beautiful space, our goal is to really deploy our teams out into other communities that desire the type of services that we have to offer.
I love that. So Overtown then will become the nucleus, and then Miami-Dade County will become your service area.
Yes. And beyond, one day we hope to have centers like this all over the state.
And you just let me know. You just let me know when you're ready to come to Lauderhill. We got you.
Listen, we would love to. We would love to. We've gotten a lot of requests to go to Broward. We've gotten a lot of asks about going to the Homestead area. And these are all areas that we want to serve. We know that there's a need. Alonzo and Tracy desires to have these types of programs all throughout, again, South Florida and beyond.
Oh, I love it. Sounds like an amazing vision. So Tina, we talked a little bit about how you ended up in the nonprofit sector. During that time, you mentioned living on purpose, right? What does that mean for you, and how is that impacting how you are living your life right now?
So living on purpose for me, I mean, every day I come to my office, it is definitely purpose driven. I think what keeps me going on a daily basis is seeing firsthand the transformational changes that we are making in our community. When I think about some of the young people who continuously reach out to me, those that have, gone through our program and have gotten their bachelor's degrees and their master's degrees, that for me is living this very purposeful life. And this life, which is my work, it blends over into my family, is also an opportunity for my children, my personal children, to see what service is all about. They get to see firsthand how important it is to give back, whether it's your career or not. So in my line of work, it's a family affair. My children are involved. My husband is involved. And like I said, and they're inspired only because they all get to see these transformational changes on a daily basis. I just had a kid who texted me Friday and said, "Hey, Miss Tina, I just got my bachelor's degree. I'm applying to law school. Would you write me a letter of recommendation?" And I'm like, of course. Another young lady who went through the program, she graduated from Emory University. She calls me on a regular basis. "Hey, Miss Tina, I'm thinking about this or that." And right now she's working in our community as an educator, aspiring to be a doctor and an entrepreneur. So those are the things that really keep me going. And I know that God must be happy, and I'm hoping that at the end of my time here on earth, that God will continue to bless my family to continue to pay it forward, because they've seen my life's work.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So you said service is then a family tradition, and the kids that you serve are your family legacy. I love that. You can go ahead and put it back up, Natasha. Okay, so Miss Woods and Tina are powerful women doing extraordinary work. Fantastic. All right, so a question from Tashan. She says, what strategies do you use to get others involved and continue to provide resources both financially and tangibly towards your initiatives during the pandemic?
Sure. So, we are, again, we're this great organization, but certainly we cannot do this work by ourselves. It is because of our community that we are able to thrive. It's because of volunteers. So we we definitely invite volunteers into our work on a regular basis. Right now, I mentioned we provide over 1,000 meals per week to the community. We love to have individuals volunteering to distribute those meals, to pack those meals. As it relates to our youth work, because of the pandemic, we've been limited in our ability to just open our doors to a lot of people just because of the restrictions in terms of how many adults can work with children. But we love to have adults coming into our work, working directly with our kids. In a physical space, it's been difficult, but we've invited a number of professionals to come speak to our children in virtual sessions. From our elementary school students to our middle school to high school to those that are in college. We have an initiative called Inspire, Empower, and Employ, short named IE Square. And this initiative is really to bring professionals in to mentor, to talk about, career opportunities and career paths. So we love to have people volunteering to share their knowledge, their experiences, their career paths. In addition to that, the person who typed in the chat talked about financial. Of course, we're always taking contributions. You can make a contribution at www.overtownyouth.org. But during this time, it is critical for us to have individuals who want to donate their time, their talents, or their treasures to our organizations. So financial contributions keep our doors open. Financial contributions allow us to continue to provide meaningful services to our children on a daily basis. But of course, as an organization, we need talent. You mentioned earlier, Melissa, me bringing my talents back to my community. And I always tell people, again, when I was going through college, nobody ever talked about nonprofits, but if I could wave a magic wand, I would yell to the hills for those individuals that are getting these business degrees or, working in the medical field to come back and give back to communities like Overtown and so many others that really need the expertise and the excellence to transform our communities.
Oh, fantastic. So you heard that if you want to volunteer and or donate, do visit overtownyouth.org. So Tina, some of our viewers run nonprofit organizations or they are in the process of starting one. What advice would you give for raising funds? And then secondly, what advice would you give around leadership?
Okay, so first of all, raising fund, it is tough. I kid you not. It's a very competitive market, but I will say that one of the reasons that we've been extremely successful is because our work speaks for itself, and we have the data and we have the results to show that our work, our mission, it works, right? So when you talk about working with students from age 5 all the way up through age 25, which is the age range that we serve for young people, and when you can show that, over 80% of our students are going to college, about 100% of our students are graduating from high school, that speaks volumes. And so when you can tell those stories, when you can share those stories, whatever the mission is, if you can demonstrate that you are having an impact, that you're getting the results, that you can demonstrate that the data shows that, you're getting it done, I think it's easier to fundraise. I think that fundraising requires a team. It requires a team of dedicated and passionate individuals. It is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week thing, meeting people. People don't necessarily, although you have, and so there's a caveat to what I said. So you have these phenomenal results in your program, but I also believe that people fund people. So you have to get out there, you have to network, you have to cultivate relationships. It's like dating. People want to know who you are and, what type of, partner you will be. And so you have to demonstrate that on a regular basis. In our organization, it's myself who actually does a lot of the fundraising along with Alonzo, our development director, and then we have a grant writer. And so, these elements of a development team really make fundraising a little bit easier. But again, it's continuously prospecting. It's always, being out there networking and building the relationship. And then lastly, proving that you can get the results that you set out to get.
I love it. So that means in order for you to be able to prove the results, you've got to make sure that you put systems in place to measure them. You got to make sure that everything that you do, that you have some tool that you're capturing not only the results, but the stories.
Oh yeah. Without it, people want to know that number one, you have a robust team. And again, not every nonprofit can afford to have a development director or a grant writer. But you can consult, you can have people that, know how to do this work. You may not have them on a full-time basis, but you have the best of the best who are writing your grants, who understand your program, who believe in your mission, and who can articulate that so that those who may be reading a grant proposal can truly understand what you're trying to accomplish. So those are some things that are extremely important in my view of fundraising.
Okay. So how do you balance it all, Tina? I know you're a wife and a mother, and I heard you say that you have your family involved in the organization, but how do you take care of yourself and make sure that your own cup is full?
Oh boy. So that's always a tough one for me. And it's weird because, I love this work so much. I love the mission of this work. And so for me, it's hard to disconnect. I have not mastered the balancing act of being a CEO and taking care of myself, but there are definitely things that I love to do for myself. I love to go out and have a nice dinner. I love to travel. So whenever I can get away and just decompress, that's always good for me. I love being with my kids. That's one of the things that I do to just kind of, although being a mom is certainly not relaxing all the time, but I do love being with my kids. I love seeing the smiles on their faces when we're doing family activities. And I'm trying to exercise a little bit more, and that's my time. The 20 or 30 minutes that I get in the morning or in the afternoon is an opportunity for me to just kind of release, decompress, let go, and just be in the moment of just trying to do something great for my own body. And one of the things that I always do is I know, I work a lot of hours, but I'm a firm believer in getting enough sleep at night. So I cut off and I make sure I at least get 6 to 7 hours of sleep at night. If I don't do that, I'm no good to anyone.
I get it. Yeah, it's so important for us to make sure that our own cup is full. And so we have another user says, that's a good question. It's easy to burn out. It sure is. It's very easy to get burned out.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
it definitely is, especially in nonprofit. You're wearing, 10, 20 different hats. And you don't have the layers that corporate America has, Yeah, I'm a CEO, but sometimes I'm making my own copies. I'm, scanning, I'm, sweeping, I'm mopping. I'm just that type of CEO, and maybe it's just me, but you wear a lot of hats in nonprofit organizations. And you have to be okay with that, but you do have to take care of yourself.
Yeah, for sure. What final words of wisdom do you have to offer our audience?
So, again, for those individuals that are, interested in nonprofit, let your passion just drive you. I like to always encourage people to find a local nonprofit. If you're not involved, to get involved with, give back. Our community deserves the best talent. We deserve donors that look like us, donors that care about our community. Pay it forward. We all have something to give. And so whether it's your career or you're just sparing a little bit of time to make a difference in the lives of young people or elderly people or whatever causes or missions that you're passionate about, give back, get involved. This work is so important.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. We know that abundance is a cycle of giving and receiving. So thank you for that word of wisdom, Tina. And we wish you a lot of continued success, not only to you and your family, but to your Overtown family as well.
Thank you for having me on the show, and best of luck to all that you're doing, and keep up the amazing work with the DunnWisdom Morning Show.
Thank you so much, Tina. So if you guys want to donate or volunteer with the Overtown Youth Center, do visit their website at overtownyouth.org. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you back here on Wednesday for another episode of the DunnWisdom Morning Show, where I will be sharing with you some additional success tips. Remember, be kind and loving to yourself today. You deserve it.